regard to that, through tutorials, student support, we develop this value added through the process, and I think it should be, the challenge for us has to be aiming for a balance between the two constantly, and indeed probably the three where you're taking a bit of a chance, and I think Jackie alluded to this as well. But if you can create an environment under the praxis curriculum, okay, where the student is taking more control, okay, because all we're doing is we're facilitators to creating the right environment for them. So it's a higher level of approach, and I think I use COB with regard to that. Learning is a process where knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. So we're going to give them an experience, but they're going to be the ones that at the end of it are going to take themselves to achieving their UCAS points. They're going to be self-study, more resilient, motivated to a higher level. They're going to get qualifications, they'll be able to reflect, and what else did I put, peer assessment, etc. And they should have HE aspirations regarding that. Coming away from my particular area, because I think that was basically everything I wanted to talk about with regard to FE, and looking at offender learning. What I did with regard to offender learning, as well as doing some research on the Justice website and the prison service, etc., I spoke to two colleagues who had experience. We've got a PGC student with us who indeed came to talk to us. Spoke to Tina, and indeed I also talked to Leah, who's had experience of working in the offender environment. And it was interesting to what they said with regard to the different curriculums and what offenders could hope to gain from them. Taking the product with regard to that, we're actually aiming for something, if they can leave with a skill, and we can take them through some objectives. So I put down some here in my target, which they provided me with, things like cooking, things like horticulture, which is a big one, which we may laugh at it, but it gives them some sort of a focus so they can leave with a skill that, maybe they can tend or an allotment or grow their own, crops, etc. Engineering gets a bit of a higher level, but there's some specific skill sets. Practical maths and English, because they haven't got it. So these are tangible things. Money management, because some of them may not have been able to manage their money previously. And then hopefully we might get them into a job at the end of the product, and maybe offender progression. With regard to process though, the journey, so it's about the journey. So we might not get our specific qualification, but by encouraging them, hopefully we could rehabilitate them off drugs or alcohol. We could improve their mental health state. That is a really important thing for some of these individuals. Probation, they might get to the stage where they're successful in their probation phase. Writing letters and emails home, and I think Tina alluded that to us. That is a major achievement for an offender, and some of them, for them, that is enough. They don't necessarily worry about the qualification if they can write to their daughter who they miss terribly because they're inside. And then finally, my last sort of offender, change your ways with the praxis curriculum. I've focused on perhaps offenders that are really prepared to take control of their own destiny and future, and maybe a success of the system. And I've got a quote there from the justice.gov site. Most prisoners have access to educational courses and training while in prison. The objective is to help them gain skills and qualifications that help them to find employment when they are released. Research has shown that prisoners who gain employment after release are much less likely to reoffend. So employment is the golden ticket, really, the self-esteem. So we're trying to get them not to reoffend. Self-responsibility. Some hopefully will get a job, and that was quite interesting talking to my peers in that respect. It was working with offenders. That was a real achievement for some prisoners to be able to give back to the system and work with existing prisoners, and indeed some prisoners do go on to work for the probation service, etc. So that was an area that they highlighted to me. And then the top of the tree would be perhaps the few offenders that might then go on to do qualifications in FE or indeed HE, which I think would be a real achievement for someone that had been incarcerated for any length of time, etc. With regard to the models and my own personal opinion, as I said, I think we end up having to, and it is a constant challenge for us to be driven by the product and the structure and the objectives that we have to run through. But equally, that shouldn't deter us. And as Layla made the point there, in that, you know, if I have to teach to distinction level to get the product right so that someone gets a tick in the box, then that is going to take away, it's bound to at some stage, from the process and the journey that hopefully I'm going to take my learners on through. And I would argue that my learners, they're going to get more benefit at the end from the experience and the opportunities that we're going to provide to them than they are from a qualification that is going to go on the bottom of their CV. Because actually, what's going to mean more to them in the longer term of their life, you know, I would argue that case.
Do you think if you asked the learner at the beginning if they were given two choices, one choice is that you will focus predominantly on a product-based model that will guarantee them a distinction star, but they won't have as rich an experience and they might not leave with as many wider skills, or the alternative is they might pop out with a pass or a merit, but they may well have the time of their lives and have a whole host of skills that would serve them well for the rest of their lives? What do you think they would say?
That'll be very interesting. I think learners, like teachers, are individuals, and some might be, depending on their background, you know, might all be about the qualification to them. You know, I've come for that qual, I'm going to get that qual at the end because I've been told, you know, if I don't leave, it's like the GCSE English and Maths.
Yeah.
You know, we are very head up. You know, I would suggest research, you know, undoubtedly proves that if they get that C in both those areas, they're far more employable. Having said that, there will be the individuals out there that may not be, but can be as equally successful in life. They may be the exception. But I think some learners will still be naive because they might not, it would be dependent on how convincing we were. You know, how can we guarantee that we're going to take them on a journey that they are, because that is something that you cannot judge until they start off on that, and how they respond to it as well as individuals. You know, as I said, I've got a young student of mine, and this girl's gone on a huge journey. Hopefully she's just going to get an apprenticeship with the NHS, and I will be as proud as punch. You know, this girl's self-esteem, her fitness, her level of she's going to leave with a distinction from me. And this is self-driven and motivated, and then she's come to work in another department that she volunteered to do paediatric first aid. And the compliments I've had from another colleague in a completely entirely different, she was a credit to our department. That is the journey. That's nothing to do with the, you know, she didn't come to us, initially she may have come to us with the focus on that qual, but it's the other bits that I think that she will, that will have shaped her, hopefully, made her more robust for the future, the workplace.
Do you have any other questions?
Mike, I got from you, you're really passionate about the process for your learners.
Yeah.
But when we talk about offender learnings, maybe I got it wrong, but you seem to think actually a product model is quite appropriate. Is that because you're not dealing with it directly, do you think, or
no? I don't deal with it directly, but it's a really good point. It's hard to say, isn't it? Ultimately, the product is going to make them more employable, which is what I try to highlight. But what will mean more to the offender, that he could write a letter or an email to his little girl, or that he could, hopefully his mental health has improved.
So that's the process again.
And that's the process. Yeah. What means more? And I think it's the toss of a coin, isn't it? You know, that individual in their own circumstances. You know, and that's why I insist that we need to be constantly able to be. So
you need that flexibility.
As a teacher, I think that's our challenge. Yeah. That is our challenge, to be able to get the best out of our learners, so to give them a qualification, but also to take them on a, you know, through a process. Yeah. To coin a phrase, that they are going to develop in the other areas as well, because you know yourself, they're just as important. If they can fill in an accounts log, ledger, fantastic, and if they can get a job in accounts. But if they haven't got the confidence then to deal with somebody from a customer basis, it's pointless.
So both contexts really, at the end, not that different in many ways. So orientated to the learner, and what they want out of it and how it goes, really.
It's the
And
way
you
it's the
add
way
that
I see it.
flexibility.
Yeah, it's the way I see it. But you know, maybe it's a very simple. It's
No,
not simplistic at all, because the challenge for us is immense.
Yes.
Because the pressure's
I
on
get
us
you.
here to get results is what is hard, because we want to be. Jackie made the point about stifling creativity. You know, turning things on their head, trying things. You know, that is the problem. In you are risking the other side of the coin.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.